This is the Hyundai IONIQ 5. It looks like a concept car announcing the future of mobility. But what's it like for real? Watch this to find out.
The Hyundai IONIQ 5 is an electric mid-size crossover built on the dedicated EV platform called E-GMP. Hyundai boasts smart living space interior design and eco-friendly materials, as well as next-gen rapid charging. At first glance, the IONIQ 5 looks like a compact hatchback, but that's just an illusion achieved thanks to the new platform. With an electric powertrain, it was possible to move the wheels to the very corners of the car. Add 19 or 20-inch alloys to maintain proportions, and you've got an almost 460 centimeters long, almost SUV, masking as a hatchback. Almost, because the ground clearance is just 16 centimeters. Like in the VW ID.4, which I reviewed recently, also in the IONIQ 5 the batteries are in the floor. Size-wise, the IONIQ 5 is between the VW ID.4 and the Skoda Enyaq. The Skoda Kodiaq or the BMW iX3 are even larger on the outside, but with the 3-meter wheelbase, the IONIQ 5 can compete with bigger SUVs like the Mercedes-Benz GLE or the Volvo XC90. The IONIQ 5 is very similar in size to the Jaguar I-Pace, with the Jag being slightly lower but wider.
Designers working on ground-up new EV models have a tough job of conveying the design language without traditional elements like the grille. There are different approaches to this. Hyundai and VW went ahead with a clean slate. I prefer Hyundai's bolder approach than the VW appliance look. However, Hyundai lacks final touches like, for example, animation of the LED headlights.
This pixel imitation looks stunning in real life, but when you approach the car you expect a welcome like in the VW, and all Hyundai does is blink like any other old car.
On the plus side, there is a Frunk. Unfortunately, to access it, you have to open the door, pull a lever, pop the bonnet, and go around like on an ordinary car. What would it cost to add a remote opening function? Now, Hyundai managed to give us 57 or 24 liters of space, depending on whether it's a rear-wheel drive or an all-wheel drive car. This is the former, hence the larger 57-liter Frunk.
As you can see, it's not necessary to cover everything in plastic, it's enough to install a container and the cables are easily accessible even with the boot fully loaded. Which takes us to the boot, which you can open with the remote control or with a button on the tailgate. Hands-free tailgate is a part of a convenience package or standard on the top trim model, like on any old car.
Also, the 360 camera is an option like on any old car. And something I don't understand, the tailgate release button is to the right of the centrally mounted camera. Now, there's this black stripe here in the middle where the camera could be mounted, but Hyundai decided to offset the tailgate opening button, and it's just an annoyance.
The boot volume is 527 liters. It may not look like this much, but along with the underfloor storage, it's easily this much. Also, the seats slide to give you even more space. There are no shopping bag hooks or backrest release levers because the seats slide, so it would have to be an electric job, but you get a 12-volt socket.
Before I sit in the back, look at how the seats slide. Nothing strange about it because you get sliding seats in smaller cars, but the distance the seats slide suggests you could easily fit a third row back here. Of course, the IONIQ 5 doesn't have the headroom, but I imagine the IONIQ 7 SUV will have sufficient space and the third row seats could easily fit under the boot floor.
As far as backseat space is concerned, there is a lot of legroom and headroom. The backrest angle is adjustable There is an armrest with cup holders but no ski hatch. AC vents are on the B pillars, as the center console is not connected to the dashboard and there was no way for the air ducts. Rear passengers get 2 USB-A ports and a large cubby. Under the seat is a 230-volt socket. The seat splits 60/40. In top trim, the back seat is electrically adjusted.
Speaking of the 230-volt socket, that's not the only way to power external electric devices with your IONIQ 5. There's an optional Type 2 to 230-volt adapter available, and you can power stuff even when the car is turned off and locked. Of course, you need to activate it in the onboard computer menu, so don't worry, nobody's juicing your EV just because they have an adapter. I was thinking about the use case scenarios for this feature, and I guess you could use it to power your remote cabin, but then you'd have to get back to a relatively rapid charger to return home, and a rapid charger means your cabin is not so remote, so there's probably other sources of energy available. Of course, the IONIQ 5 can also act as energy storage in your smart home, but then you don't need a 230-volt adapter, but a two-way charger.
In the front, it's apparent the designers wanted to take advantage of the E-GMP platform, but when they did the center console, they just called it quits. It's mounted on the floor and it is not connected to the dashboard. There are 2 cup holders within reach. Underneath them are 2 USB-A ports and an induction charger. However, if you want to use Android Auto, you have to use the 3rd USB-A port, which is under the dashboard. This is also where a black hole is located. Between the seats is a large tray or cubby, and above it is a folding armrest with some more storage. The glove box is a drawer, like in the Renault Espace. Door pockets are large, which I appreciate.
So it sounds like there is a lot of space, but is there really? The reach adjustment of the steering column is limited, so the passenger behind me gets more legroom, but if I bend my knee, because I'm using cruise control, my knee is stuck between the gear selector and the AC panel. And I'm just 175 centimeters tall, so hardly a giant. The AC panel is a touch job, unfortunately, so it collects grease. Above it are several physical buttons for the infotainment system, and on top of the dash is the actual infotainment system.
Don't be fooled by the cool white graphics. This is largely the same infotainment system you get in other Hyundai models. On the one hand, I'd like to see something new in the new EV. On the other hand, VW gave us something new, and I'd rather they took it back. New is the digital instrument panel designed with EVs in mind. All is good in this department. Let's go. And yes, there is a start button. It's not a Tesla or a VW, which are ready to go as soon as you get in.
The Hyundai IONIQ 5 is available in several flavors. You can have rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, you can have 58 or 73 kilowatt-hour batteries. The power is between 170 and 305 horsepower, and the range is between 360 and 481 kilometers.
This is the 73 kilowatt-hour, 218 horsepower rear-wheel drive model. Hyundai claims it will do 0 to 100 km per hour in 7.4 seconds, and this is what I got. The range is up to 481 km on 19-inch rims or 451 km on 20s. Claimed energy used in the WLTP combined cycle is just below 17 kWh per 100 km. In the summer, with the AC on below 100 km per hour, this claim is realistic. Hyundai says in the city the IONIQ 5 will do high 600 km, but it would have to use 10-11 kWh per 100 km. Recuperation helps, but I managed to get low 16 kWh, and I don't see getting a much better result than that.
Speaking of recuperation, different brands take different approach. For example, BMW, Mini or Nissan go with something they call one-pedal driving, where you mainly operate the accelerator to accelerate or to slow down. Hyundai and Kia offered recuperation adjustable with paddle shifters, or you could go into automatic radar-based recuperation mode, which would slow the car down when there was traffic ahead. This time you can pick your poison. There is radar recuperation, there are paddles, as well as iPedal one-pedal driving feature. It's not as aggressive as full braking force, but enough for most situations in city driving.
On the motorway, the IONIQ 5 uses about 21 kWh per 100 km. Get off the motorway and you're soon down to a more manageable 17-18 kWh. On the motorway, beside active cruise control and active lane keeping assist, there is also a lane change assist feature. This test car is in German spec, so lane change assist may not be available in some markets. As far as I know, it should not be available in Poland, pending introduction of new legislation. But I won't miss the lane change assist in Hyundai. BMW and Mercedes do it much better. German brands are also better when it comes to active cruise control and active lane keeping assist. Hyundai's systems are too abrupt, and lane keeping assist can still be cheated with a water bottle.
I can live with the old infotainment system, but Hyundai could step up its semi-autonomous driving game, especially as the IONIQ 5 is quite average to drive. The steering is slow, so despite a low center of gravity, I often find myself correcting in mid-corner, which causes the car to lean anyway. Also, I'm on a track, and we're going to try a moose maneuver. Okay, an evasive maneuver. I'm going 50 km per hour, so nothing drastic. Here's the moose. Holy... This does not feel very safe. On the plus side, the soundproofing is very good. That's especially important in EVs, which don't have an engine sound to mask the outside noises, so Hyundai is doing a good job here. Also, the suspension is quite comfortable. Most of the time, you don't feel this car weighs 2 tons. The active cruise control graphics are very simple and pleasing to the eye, and this pebble motif is repeated on the electric seat controls. And the seats do not have memory function. That's an option on higher trim. So what's the point of having electric seats without memory function? The seats are comfortable, they are heated, and so is the steering wheel, but these features are hidden in the infotainment system. What is left in plain sight is the manual headlight level adjustment. Fuck the whack!
Charging 10 to 80% on a 50 kilowatt charger takes about an hour. 6 hours from an 11 kilowatt Type 2 socket. Charging to full from a 230 volt home socket takes more than 30 hours. But Hyundai IONIQ 5 can take up to 220 kilowatts, which cuts the 10 to 80% charging time down to about 18 minutes. So, if you have the right type of charger on your route, you can regain about 250-300 kilometers range in less than 20 minutes. That's Tesla territory. The Hyundai IONIQ 5 prices start at €42,000. This test car is a rear-wheel drive 73 kWh model for about €52,000. That's not taking into account any local EV incentives.
The Hyundai IONIQ 5 makes a great first impression. However, the more time I spend with it, the more I feel Hyundai has taken a cutting-edge platform and bolted on some tried and tested, though not necessarily cutting-edge solutions. I don't expect Tesla farting indicators, but the IONIQ 5 lacks the final polish which one could expect from the car of the future. And how do you like the IONIQ 5? Is the design your cup of tea, or do you prefer something a bit more understated? Are there any EVs on your radar? Let me know in the comment section below.
If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, join me every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Time. And don't forget to subscribe and like this video, as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.